Welcome back to Cask and Points. Before our regularly scheduled video, I just wanted to let you all know that I've started a Patreon. A lot of people have been asking me whether or not I was going to start one and how they could support the channel, so here it is. It's down below in the description. Definitely go check it out if you want to support the channel. I have 4 different tiers, so people could get in as much as they want to get in, and hopefully over time we'll have our own Discord. We'll hopefully be doing barrel picks soon and funneling that through the Patreon, and I'll also be doing a really nice Patreon sample giveaway for 1,000 subscribers, which we're getting closer and closer to every single day. So I really appreciate the support so far, and for those that want to support through the Patreon, I really would mean a lot. This is not a cheap hobby, as I'm sure many of you know, and that money is going to go right into getting the nicest bottles, the nicest samples, so that we can review them here on the channel, and hopefully it'll open up opportunities in the future to do barrel picks and stuff like that. So that's all. Let's get right back to our regularly scheduled video. Welcome back to Cask and Point. Today we're going to be reviewing the latest batch from Taylor Barrel Proof, Batch 13, 127.3 proof from 2024. Now we're going to be throwing it up against Batch 12 from 2023 and Batch 11 from 2022, and to kind of add a little bit to the mix here, I threw in a sample of Stagg Junior Batch 24B, one of my favorite batches in the last few years that is really fruit forward and I thought might actually compete really well with the Taylor Barrel Proofs, and also kind of throw us for a little bit of spin, because if we can't tell which one here is Stagg Junior, that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, I've heard awesome things from Taylor Batch 13. I have tried it briefly and I did really enjoy it, but this is only my second time trying it. As you can tell here, this is actually a brand new, fresh crack from the bottle, and I wanted to throw it up against good competition. I've heard good things from Batch 11, Batch 12. I have only had Taylor a couple of times myself, and so I want to throw it all together here in a blind, try the latest 3 releases, and see if Batch 13 is really all that. Many people do believe that it is truly the king of the last few years, and, well, we're gonna find out here today. So, let's get right into it here. We have glasses 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like I said, this is a blind, so I don't know the order of any of these things. I don't know what exactly we'll be drinking, but I want to see if we could pick out Batch 13 as the winner of today's flight, or if it's good, but just as good as Batch 11 and Batch 12. So let's get right into it here. Smells really nice. Smells like Taylor Barrel Proof. It's very fruit driven on this. A nice cherry on this. A little bit of cola as well. A good amount of oak presence as well, which is really nice. Yeah, a good amount of rye spice on this, some baking spices, nutmeg, cinnamon. Overall, it's definitely Buffalo Trace. I mean, you're looking at about a 6-year cask strength whiskey here, which for $80, not the worst thing in the world. Obviously, secondary and Taylor Barrel Proof is about $300 right now, down from only a few years ago when it was about $600, which is kind of crazy. People say $300 now is so cheap for these bottles, and I can only imagine paying $600 for something that I've generally found to be as good as some of my favorite Stagg Junior batches at half the secondary price. So we'll see, but let's try it. Wow, that's actually really nice. A good amount of proof on that one. Definitely a ton of red cherry on that. Definitely thinking that is one of the Taylor batches. There's a nice rich oakiness as well. There's a nice vanilla, caramel, a little bit of maple on that as well, a little bit of honey on that. That's decently complex. Quite a few things going on that one. Definitely a good kick to it as well. And towards the late palate, you're really going to get into a little bit of pepper. You're going to get a little bit more of that nutmeg. I mean, that's really good. I really like that. I've never been the biggest Taylor fan. I found the small batch to be totally mediocre. I found the single barrel and the straight rye, the few times I've tried each, to both be good, but just nothing special. Like, maybe I'd pick it up for MSRP and drink it, but I really wouldn't pay a dime more than that. But Barrel Proof, I've only had it, I think, 2 or 3 times. I tried Batch 12, I believe, twice, and I've tried Batch 13 once, and I think that's about it. And so I don't have a ton of experience here with Taylor, so really excited here to see just how good it is. But on that first sip here, definitely in the low, mid-8s here. Very solid whiskey. Obviously, for MSRP, very solid deal. For secondary, I don't think so. But let's take another sip. It's very solid. That's very solid. Started getting a little more grape on that one, on that second sip. A little bit more of those, darker berries as well. And kind of like blackberry on that. But there's a nice richness, there's a nice oakiness to it, there's a nice vanilla on it. It's not punching you in the face, like it's not drinking like a hazmat whiskey, and that's kind of nice. I've had a lot of hazmat whiskeys recently, so, you know, it's nice to kind of go back down a little bit to earth with like 127, 130 proof, whatever. I obviously can't really predict what batch this is. I'm just not familiar enough with the E.H. Taylor batches to make any predictions here. You guys obviously know what this is already. That's very good. I don't know what it is, but it's really, really good. Let's move on to glass number 2. So glass number 2 here, let's see. Wow, it's much richer on the oak. Smells older. A little bit more cherry forward, but a lot of rich oak on this. A lot of berries on this as well. Just off the nose, I'm thinking this might be the Stagg Junior. Yeah, let's try it. That's very good. Very different from that first glass. Yeah, that's interesting. There's a lot of dark berry on that. A good amount of vanilla on that. A lot more oak on that. Like really rich, deep oak on that. A little bit of pepper towards the end. It's good. It's very good. But, I don't know if I like it more than glass number 1. But I can tell you, it really tastes very different. Yeah, I mean, there's like the oak is hotter on this. The nose is hotter on this. To me, this is much more akin to the Stagg Junior. Obviously, this might not be the Stagg Junior, but whatever this is, it's more similar to Stagg Junior than E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof. In my limited E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof experience, I obviously have quite a bit of Stagg Junior experience. I've tried pretty much every batch at this point a few times over, and I love Stagg, but, you know, E.H. Taylor is not too shabby itself, especially as the secondary market comes down. As we start seeing it get into the 275 range, 250 range, it might really get closer to 200 this year, and at $200, I imagine a lot of people will be enjoying it much more than they would at 3 or 4 or 500. But anyways, yeah, this is solid. I mean, this is low 8s to me. I think I like glass 1 a little bit more, not much more. But this one here is much more hot oak. It's much darker fruit. Let's take a second sip. That's good. It's really good. Reminiscent of a Stagg Punch on there, where you get a nice, good oak hot kick to it, but you're also getting a little bit of that cherry, a good amount of that blackberry plum. 24B to me was a more dark fruit forward Stagg Junior. To me, that's very reminiscent of 24B. Obviously, I don't know if it is, and we'll try the next two and we'll see. I haven't had a great history when I do these blinds of guessing things. I've been very off in a lot of my predictions, and honestly, making the predictions may even be messing with me a little bit, so I don't want to think about the predictions too much. Obviously, you guys know what that is. I think that's a Stagg. But anyways, let's move on to glass number 3. Glass number 3 here. I will note the color is very similar in all of these, so we wouldn't be able to ascertain the Stagg Junior batch solely based off the color. Okay, that's nice. That also kind of smells like Stagg Junior though, so let's see. Okay, no, it smells a little bit more similar to the first glass here. Definitely a ton of red fruit on this. That nice kind of rich sweet oak on it as well. Definitely a little bit hotter of oak, I think, than glass 1. I think a little bit less hot of oak than glass 2. Kind of actually very in the middle ground between the two. Which kind of messes with me a little bit. Now I don't know which one is the Stagg and what's what. But that's nice. It's definitely more baking spice, nutmeg, cinnamon forward. A little bit of pepper here on the nose as well. Not absolutely loving that part of it. On the nose, I think I like glass 1 and glass 2 more, but let's try this. That's much more mellow. But there is a little bit of astringency there. Interesting. Yeah, I think this is an E.H. Taylor batch, and I think it's worse than glass 1 just off that first sip here. There's definitely a little bit of astringent oak on there. There's still the vanilla, your caramel, your red cherry. It's still very good. But this one here is going to be low 8s to me. Yeah, kind of like that E.H. Taylor oak funk to it, which is hard to describe. But if you had E.H. Taylor, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and then this one to me tastes like an E.H. Taylor batch. Obviously, I have no idea what any of these are. This might be Stagg Junior. I don't know. That's kind of the fun of it. That's why I wanted to throw in the Stagg Junior batch. Because then I could say, oh, this is the Stagg. This isn't the Stagg. And I'm probably going to be totally off. But at least we have fun doing it. Yeah, this one is a little bit more plum, dark fruit forward. But a good amount of spice on there and a good amount of sweet oak. Yeah, spicier than I think both of the first two glasses, with an oak that's hotter than one, less hot than two. It's good, but I think I like both of the first two glasses more. Let's take the second sip here. That's good. Okay, it's pretty good. I don't love it. I think if that's one of the H. Taylor batches, that's not a batch that I'd get really excited over. But it is really good. Obviously, I'm hoping that's not batch 13 because, I have a bottle of batch 13. I don't have a bottle of batch 11 or 12. Both of those samples actually were provided to me by a good buddy of mine named Mark. So thank you so much, Mark, for helping make this video possible. And the 24B, which I think is glass number 2. Obviously, I don't know. Was from a good buddy of mine named Smokey. So, I appreciate you guys supporting the channel and sending me samples. But that was good. I think let's go on to glass number 4. Then we'll go back through everything. We'll rate everything. We'll rank everything. And then we'll find out what we're having. All right, glass number 4 here. Oh, much more sweet caramel forward on this one. A lot of vanilla on that. A little bit of the cherry. Definitely doesn't have the kind of oak presence that I would expect on a Stagg Junior. So I think the Stagg Junior is probably 2 or 3. I'm leaning towards it being glass 2. But this one is much more reminiscent of glass 1 here. Let's go back to glass 1. Yeah, actually, those are really similar. Glass 1 is a little bit sweeter, which I really like. But, yeah, I mean, this one has very similar characteristics. The red cherry, a little bit of oak, vanilla, some honey on this one as well. Smells good. Let's try it. Interesting. Well, that's really nice. It's a little bit more mellow. Towards the late palate, it's getting a little bit astringent, a little bit peppery, but I don't actually mind that. I think there's enough complexity on here. I think I'm liking it more than number 3. I think I'm liking it around as much as number 1. And I think this is an E.H. Taylor batch. Obviously, hard to tell, especially because, we're working at a very similar proof range here. We have a 127.3 with batch 13. Then we have a 127.8, which was the Stagg Junior, and then a 129.0 with batch 11. And then the only one that really stands out is batch 12 at 131.1. But yeah, we're working within 4 proof points here, so everything is going to drink pretty much as hot. But yeah, I mean, that's really nice here. Let's take a second sip. Interesting. I like that. I think around as much as I like glass 1. And I think I like glass 2 and 3 less. Interesting. Very interesting. I think let's do glass 2 and 3 here. Let's see how they stack up, and then we'll go back to glass 1 and glass 4. Always got to remember to cleanse your palate in these blinds. So this is the one that I think is the Stagg Junior. Obviously, I don't really know. But to me, there's a richer, hotter oak on this one. It's not bad by any means. It's just a bit different than the other 3. Yeah, and the fruit here is a bit darker. I think the other 3 had some degree of your more red cherry Buffalo Trace, whereas this has a lot more of that kind of dark plum blackberry kind of note on it. Almost like a cooked blackberry. Like, there's a really deep blackberry on this one. It's good. Let's try it. That's solid. I don't think it's anything crazy. I don't think it's a bottle I'd pay $300 for. So if that's one of the E.H. Taylor batches, that's not one that I would really go after. I think it's good. I think at $125, $150, it's really not a bad pour at all. I'm between an 8.1 and an 8.2 right now. Oh, that's tough. Yeah, I could go either way on this one. I'm just like an 8.15. That's cope. I already break down to the 10th. I can't break down to the 100th in my rating system. Because how the heck do you understand the difference between an 8.95 and an 8.85? It's just, it would be too much. Yeah, let's see. I'm going to leave it an 8.1. I'm going to be safe on this one. I think on some days it could be an 8.2. I think if you really like your darker fruit, I think that one's going to be very solid. But I don't think that that one is worthy of a $300 secondary if that's the E.H. Taylor. I think it's good. I think it's a good baseline. I think it's very solid. I think you do have a hotter, richer oak on there. I think you have a nice berry on there. But it's not super complex. I think it's less complex than glass 1 and glass 4. I think glass 3, we're going to go back to in a second here. But yeah, I'm not loving glass 3. Let's see. So glass number 3 here. Yeah, much more caramel forward, a little bit more vanilla, a little bit more honey on this one. And a little bit more red cherry. I mean, there is a little bit of that blackberry, blueberry kind of note on there. But, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty good. Let's try it. Interesting. It's much smoother than glass number 2. And smoothness is not typically a characteristic that I care about in my whiskey. I think smoothness is a cheaper characteristic. I think that's one of those tasting notes that people give when they're getting into whiskey because, you know, it goes down easy, it doesn't really punch you in the face. But no, over time you like being punched in the face, and I think everything should be smooth at this level. But this is really smooth. Like, it's very easy, it goes down the palate easy, definitely drinks under its proof because the lowest proof this could possibly be is 127.3. And to me, this is drinking much more like a 115, 120. Very nice on this one. I like it a little bit more than glass number 2. Not by much, though, because I think it's not that much more complex. It's a little bit more mellow, and I like heat sometimes. And I like glass 2 gave me a nice hot oak, a nice really rich blueberry and blackberry. Whereas this glass number 3 here, giving me more stereotypical Kentucky bourbon flavors of your vanilla and your caramel and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not all that. Let's take this kind of last little tiny little sip here. But yeah, to me that's an 8.2. I think it's better than glass 2, not by much. I think it's very close. I think on either day, if I'm looking for the heat, I'm looking for that kind of darker fruit, I could go glass 2. But I think most of the time I would prefer glass 3 here. I like that it's a little bit more mellow, it's a little bit more caramel forward. Obviously, I don't have any predictions here, but obviously if I had to, I'd say this is the Stagg, this is batch 12. And that's just because I've had batch 12 before, and this is pretty reminiscent of that batch 12. But I don't know. Let's move on. Let's go back to glass 1 and glass 4. So I'll start here with glass 1. A lot of sweetness on this one. Compared to glass 4, glass 4 is definitely more fruit forward. Glass 1 is really just a maple, honey, vanilla bomb. It's really nice. It's really nice. That's super solid. That's super smooth. That's really nice. You have the sweet oak on there. There's really no roughness around the edges at all. I think that's a very solid spirit. I think it's a good bit better than glasses 2 and 3. Obviously, I don't know what that one is, but that one to me has your nice, rich, sweet oak on it. It has definitely your fruitiness on it. It definitely has more cinnamon than it does have nutmeg, but there's a lot going on in that one. I think that's very good. I really actually like this one a lot. To me, this is an 8.4. I mean, this definitely deserves a rating that's a good bit step up above, I think, glass 2 and glass 3. That's a very solid whiskey. Is it a $300 whiskey? Probably not. But I think if that is the E.H. Taylor barrel proof and you do get it for $80, or even if you get paid double, I think you pay $160 for that, that's still an awesome pour. I don't think I could get behind that being worth $300, but I think if it's really your kind of flavor profile, I get it. I think this is, you know, obviously by far the best E.H. Taylor product. This single barrel and the straight rye, they're good. They're nothing close to the barrel proof. That barrel proof is leaps and bounds better for sure. And so I think it's really solid. I think it's an 8.4. Let's go on to glass number 4. Yeah, to me, this is pretty similar to glass number 1. I think it's just a little bit more fruit forward, a little bit less of that sweetness, the vanilla, the molasses, those kinds of notes. Still really nice, though. Let's take this final sip here. Let's give it a rating. Let's rank it. And then let's find out what we've been drinking this whole time. It's good. There's a little bit more oakiness on there. There's a little bit of astringency on there. Actually, going back to that, I think glass 1 is a good bit better than it, which is interesting. I think there's more complexity, but I actually think that glass 1 is a pretty clear winner here. I think glass 4 here, it's better than glass 3 by I think at least 0.1. Yeah, I think I'm going to give it an 8.3. May even bump glass 1 to an 8.5 just because I think the difference shouldn't be just 0.1 here. It's like the bottom end of 8.3 versus the top end of 8.4. But it's an exponential scale, so I guess necessarily because of the fact that this is an 8.4, 8.3, 8.2, the difference between 8.2 and 8.3 are closer than 8.3 and 8.4, so I think I can comfortably say that that's an 8.3. I like it. but I think Glass 1 is a actually pretty clear winner on this one. I think it's very sweet. I think you have a really nice oakiness that I like more than I think any of the oakiness in any of these other pours. But let's find out what we've been having. Right here, we'll grab our note cards here. So we're going to start with glass number 2. Let's see, this is 3, this is 4, this is 1. Let's see, glass number 2 here. Stagg, okay, we predicted that one properly. It's good, it's very good, but I think actually all the E.H. Taylor barrel proofs were a little bit better. Not that much better, and for $150, that's a very, very solid pour. So yeah, I don't sleep on that Stagg. I think just because it got last place here doesn't mean it's really that much worse than these other pours. And for half the price on secondary markets, Stagg's great. Let's try number 3 here. Number 3, batch 12. Okay, so I predicted that was batch 12 because that's the only one that I'd had before. So batch 11 and batch 13 here doing pretty well. Obviously, hoping this is batch 13, but I don't know. But let's see. Let's see glass number 4 here. Hoping to see 11. It is 11. Okay. Wow. Batch 13 is our winner here today. Yeah, number 1, batch 13. That is awesome. Yeah, batch 13, delicious. Delicious. A good bit better than 11 and 12 and the Stagg Junior batch 24B. I mean, that is awesome here. Wow. That's obviously this bottle that we have here. Smells great. Tastes great. Very, very satisfied with that bottle and satisfied with that purchase. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed it. Obviously, you know, we have some results here that I think I predicted pretty well because I don't know if I said that this was 13. Obviously, I couldn't really predict 11 versus 13 because I just haven't had them enough. But I was hoping that that was a 12. I was hoping that that was 24B. 11, many people say, is better than 12. And many people say 13 is better than 11 and 12. And it seems like we generally agree with the general populace on these results, which, you know, is good or bad. I don't know. But I'm very satisfied with this because obviously I own the bottle of batch 13. So I was hoping it would be killer. It is very, very good. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. If you've tried any of these bottles, definitely let me know down below in the comments what you guys think. I think this is a great performance from E.H. Taylor. I haven't tried anything before batch 11, so we'll see. Maybe we'll try, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10 one day. We'll see how much better those are. I heard batch 9 is very good. I've heard before that, I mean, you have some batches that are really good, some that are not, but obviously with an annual release, you know, batch 5 is 8 years old at this point. Not an easy bottle to get a bottle of, let alone a sample of to do a review, so we'll see. Maybe we'll try all the E.H. Taylors at some point. I doubt it, but I've had fun. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and for now, have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.